anytime we have a line reference in the question itself, we want to make sure that we follow the +1 sentence rule, which basically says we need the context, right? They told us to look somewhere, but we know the SAT, they're kind of manipulating us in certain ways, and the answer to this question might be just outside of the line reference. So we need to account for that and read it basically a little bit before, a little bit after, where they tell us. So that kind of gives us most of this paragraph here, but it's going to be very clear very quickly what is important for understanding this question, right? We need to know the purpose of the lines here, right? The amount of economic value created for a given of input, such as an hour of labor. That is the thing we're being asked about. But let's look at what they say. As evidence, Brynjolfsson and McAfee point to a chart that only an economist could love. In economics, productivity, the amount of economic value created for a given unit of input, such as an hour of labor, is a crucial indicator of growth and wealth creation. It is a measure of progress. On the chart, Brynjolfsson likes to show separate lines represent productivity and total employment in the United States. So they're explaining something, but specifically, right, they're explaining the word productivity. And, they're saying it's a measure of something, right? They're clarifying what this means. Now, look at the choices here. They're short choices, and sometimes people have trouble with this kind of question because the choices really start to blend together and they seem very similar. The best way you can tell them apart and know which one is right is by turning them into questions. If you can't answer the question, then that's not a good sign for that choice, right? So let me show you what I mean. Choice A, describe a process. What's the process? If we're really describing a process, you should be able to describe the process too. So what's the process? Is productivity a process? Is economics a process? No, not really. So there is no process. It doesn't make sense. We can't answer the question, therefore there is no process. What about B? Highlight a dilemma. What's the dilemma? Right? A dilemma is when you have maybe like a pro and a con, right? Something good and something bad, and you're not sure how to decide, right? So what's the choice? What's the problem? Nothing. They're just talking about productivity. That doesn't make any sense. Now, choice C is what people who get this wrong pick, and they usually pick it without reading choice D, which you always need to read all the choices, no matter how confident you are. But clarify a claim is pretty close, right? But here's the thing, is let's turn that again into a question. What's the claim? Right, a claim is like a belief or an opinion. It's something that you're arguing. What are they arguing here? What are they arguing with that highlighted piece? They're not arguing anything. They're describing something, but they're not claiming anything to be true. Instead, they're defining a term. And watch. What's the term? Productivity. Right? The fact that I can answer that very quickly and easily is a very good sign that it's right. And that's how we want to operate on pretty much all of the questions on the reading section, is we kind of want to turn these answer choices into questions that we ask ourselves. And with longer choices, we break them up into multiple questions. So that's process of elimination. But for something short like this, where the choices seem to be very, very similar, it's really important that we try to force ourselves to think about the differences. And, that reveals something that we might not notice otherwise. In this case, I do think it's pretty clear it's a term, so hopefully you got that anyway, but there will be others like this that follow the same format where it does tend to blend together. Turn it into a question, and if you can't answer the question, trust your confusion. That's your brain telling you that the answer choice is probably wrong.